in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high. Cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it. Goodbye. Hold up, we just saying hi. Five somebody rise up weekdays. Catch us live, somebody. Let's go.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Pascal Show. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I hope you're all enjoying your. Wow, it's Thursday. Thursday, y'all. Hopefully you guys are enjoying your Thursday. Man, we got one more day until we get into the weekend, and I'm very, very excited about it. I don't know about you guys, but for me, it's been a long week. It's been a very interesting week. Long week, but a good week at the same time. You know what I mean? I've been very excited about a lot of things because we got some just flew into my eye. We got a lot of great things going on right now that I will be telling you guys here very, very soon. I promise you. Okay? I promise you. I'll be letting you guys know here in the very, very near future. There's so much to pop off. There's so much to talk about. I am very sorry I wasn't able to do a show yesterday, last night. Some things popped up, last minute things, some opportunities for what I'm working on here, okay, in the near future, that I will be letting you guys know soon, okay. I have been busy trying to coordinate a few things for this thing that I'm very excited about announcing hopefully by tomorrow morning. But, of course, I had to sit down and have a conversation with some people yesterday, last night, and it went over than the expected time. So, of course, I had to do what I had to do and sit down with those very important people to make some things happen, just so we can do some really dope things here in the very near future. So, again, lo siento, okay? Lo siento, désolé, okay? I'm sorry I wasn't able to be on last night. I'm sorry to disappoint y'all, but I promise you we got a lot to talk about today. There's some crazy-ish going on that has happened yesterday, new information, devastating news and updates revolving around the Oxford, Michigan high school shooting that happened over the past couple days. We got some other things we got to talk about, a very strange, mysterious shooting that happened to a legendary music producer's wife. And we got other stuff that's going on. We got this Alec Baldwin interview that's about to drop tonight. And don't worry, I will be watching it. I will give you my two cents. Real talk on that. But there's something that he says in the trailer that's absolutely mind-blowing. We're going to be looking at that as well. And of course, there is a shooting that happened to a elderly man that was in a electrified or electric wheelchair that was killed by a cop. We're going to take a look at that footage, and we're going to talk about that as well today. So there's a lot going on today. We got to jump into it. But before we go into it, my brother David's in the house. What's up, man?
Hey, man, not much. Everything's good here. It's the weather's getting better, but I smell smoke, so I'm not too happy about that.
That's not a good thing. You better.
No.
Is your toaster on?
No, I checked. It's coming from outside somewhere. I just don't know where yet.
Is your toaster oven on or some ish or something, man? I'm just saying, be careful. Don't think too hard. That's probably what you're smelling. Your brain's on fire. You know what I'm saying?
Could be. Feels like
way
it sometimes.
Too hard, bruh. That's what it is. Before we jump into everything, because we got the brain in the house, we're going to talk about some things. We got to talk about this. Obviously, our front page news, our top story of the day. But before we go into all that, we got to do it. You know the procedure. Hit that like button down below, guys. Do me that small favor. Hit that like button down below. Send those likes all the way up as you start to march in. I see all you guys starting to march in. Good morning to everybody. Thank you so much for bringing in your energy and your spirits into the show today. So hit that like button. Send those likes all the way up. Let's start this Thursday off on a dope day, on a dope foot, something like that. And don't forget, for those of y'all who are watching the show for the first time, hit that subscribe button, baby. We're almost at 50,000 subscribers, guys. Almost. So hit that subscribe button, por favor. Okay? Anyway, we got to jump into our stories for today. And there is this main thing. The Oxford shooting, the shooting that happened in Oxford High School, the high school in Oxford, Michigan. there was that massive shooting that happened, and I have to say, sorry about that, David. Hit a button. I have to say, this is a strange story. As we are starting to see more and more now, instead of me saying anything about it, let's just jump into it, because clearly there's the way the media presents this kid, right? It's just strange, guys. It's very strange. We are going to talk about it because I got some things to say. All right. Especially the way that they present this kid. And there's some things I understand, and there's other things I don't understand. Okay. So we are going to talk about this, but the shooter's name is Ethan Crumbley. He's a 15-year-old sophomore in that high school. He was the one who went in with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun and gunned down and shot a whole bunch of people. He shot the club up, y'all. Okay? Now we have a fourth victim that has died from this horrific shooting. And this kid, if I'm correct, pleaded not guilty. We gotta go into this story. I know David's got a little bit. Do you mind leading off? I need to pull up this video real quick. So do you mind?
Yeah. So just for a brief introduction, basically there's a Michigan high school student, he's 15-year-old, suspected of being bullied in the past, and now he's being charged with multiple first-degree murders, as well as charges for the T word, which we can't say on live. But he's getting charged for those as well. His name is Ethan Crumbley. He's charged specifically with killing 4 students, injuring 7 others, when he opened fire at Oxford High School, about 40 miles north of Detroit. On Wednesday, officials at the Oakland County Sheriff's Office said the teen shot a video the night before that spoke about killing students and made similar threats in a journal found in his backpack. He was awaiting arraignment last night. It may have happened by now, but it was late in the evening when they were still waiting for it. As you may recall, he used a 9mm Sig Sauer. It's a pistol for his shooting. Apparently, he got it from his father, and there are images of him holding it as well. And they've also said that they are considering additional charges, that according to the county prosecutor, in addition to the murder and the T charges.
Dave, a lot of
Sorry about that.
So obviously we're not getting interviews from him. He's underage, so we're not going to see a whole lot. However, the information we got about the alleged bullying came from the Detroit Free Press, which is a local paper, and they were quoting investigators that are looking into the case. However, the investigation is not done, but at this point they're saying that it's related to bullying. I think we'll know a lot more once the investigation is actually done. It's still in the process of beginning at this page, but that is pretty much the main information we have. Investigators are doing what they call a deep dive into his social media accounts now, which have all been pulled. I assume they still have access to them through Facebook and the like. They should have records of them. That's probably what they're using to get through his previous social media posts. And so this will be the chance for them to confirm some of the posts we've seen from the kid, the alleged posts, which seem to be true based on multiple witnesses that saw them at the school as well. So students that were at school with him did verify that these social media things that were getting out in the national news are correct. They saw them themselves on the social media. So what you've heard on his website with the countdown and everything, that is true. It's been confirmed. It's just it's not up there for us to see, but the investigators still have it all. They also had, unsurprisingly, had a vigil the night after for the students that were killed. And
I mean, they had one. that night.
Yeah.
I mean, the night of. I mean, I feel like they've been having vigils almost, on a consistent basis when it comes to the honoring the victims and all that. And of course, we're going to get into the talking about the fourth victim as well. And the thing is if you see, which I'll try to throw some of these up here in a second, because Len Street did send me some screenshots of his social media. And when I tell you it is just bizarre and cryptic, I think that's an understatement, right? Now, that doesn't mean that any person that puts up stuff like this on their social media suddenly means that they're going to go and shoot up a school, right? Doesn't mean that. But it is very disturbing, the kind of stuff that was going on in this kid's mind, that he was willing to put those things on his social media accounts, right? But this is the reason why I'm saying the way that the media was putting him out, aside from his mugshot, which I'll show you guys here in a second, and they're going to show his mugshot here in this video. What we were seeing in the very beginning was something completely like a contrast, a stark contrast to what we actually do see in his mugshot. But let's look at this video here. It goes into a little bit. It's kind of echoing what David just said. He's being held without bail, of course, as he should be. And it looks like he's being tried as an adult. Let's take a look at this video clip, shall we?
Dave, a lot of new information coming out right now.
Yeah, it was all coming out in court. I'm standing outside the Oakland County Detention Center where 15-year-old Ethan Crumbley is somewhere behind the walls behind me in isolation. He started the day in Children's Village, ended the day here with the adults because in the eyes of the court, what he's accused of, he should be treated like an adult. Bulletproof vest and sitting at a table at a juvenile detention center, 15-year-old Ethan Crumbley heard the 24 charges.
You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Do you understand that right, sir?
Yes, I do.
They include terrorism, 4 murder counts, 7 counts of assault with intent to murder, and 12 additional weapon felonies. Because of his age, he wasn't alone during this arraignment.
I'm Jennifer Crumbley.
James Crumbley.
Because of the severity of the charges, he's no longer treated as a child. Prior to the formal reading of the charges, we learned about some key pieces of evidence, including the teen's cell phone and journal.
Depicted a video made by him the night before the incident, wherein he talked about shooting and killing students the next day at Oxford High School. Further, a journal was recovered from Ethan's backpack, also detailing his desire to shoot up the school to include murdering students.
Then we learned how he allegedly carried out the attack.
This defendant entering a bathroom with a backpack. A minute or two later, he exited the same bathroom without the backpack, but with a gun in hand. At that point, he methodically and deliberately walked down the hallway, aiming the firearm at students and firing.
We also discovered the attorney representing Crumbley as an adult was court-appointed just minutes before the arraignment and spent a total of 10 minutes with him.
I just want to make sure that he understands his rights and the potential consequences. That's my entire goal. And beyond that, I tried not to get into in fact, I don't get into the particulars of the case or what the specifics of the allegations are.
He'll have another attorney, either court-appointed or hired by his family, at his next court appearance. After entering a not guilty plea, Fox 2 cameras watched as a van left Children's Village Juvenile Center and arrived at the Oakland County Jail, where Crumbley remained isolated from the rest of the prisoners.
Word.
The next time we are anticipating to see Crumbley will be December 13th for a probable cause hearing, where he will likely have an entirely new defense team with him. Reporting live tonight in Oakland County, Dave Spencer, Fox 2 News.
Okay. Real quick, David, hold on. So here's the thing. This kid is going to be tried as an adult, as he should be, because he went out of his way, took a gun, shot up a whole school, killed now 4, injured 8. I think it's a total of 8 people that were injured and or killed. All right. Now, here's one thing I want to point out. there has not been any confirmation of him actually being bullied. Because there's been a lot of people, we even said it on the show the other day. Oh, he must have been bullied in school. This is why he's doing this, that, and the third. You know, you bully this person. Next thing you know, it just goes off like a powder cake, right? So far, there has not been confirmation at all whatsoever if he had been bullied in that high school. There's been speculation, but there's been no confirmation of this. This could very well be him just going off for the sake of just going off. He just wanted to see red for the sake of seeing red, y'all. I hate to say that and pull out these harsh realities, but some people are just born bad. Now, if that is a confirmation, if it is confirmed, we will confirm it right here on the Pascal Show without a shadow of a doubt. But right now, so far, there has not been one confirmation of him being bullied in that high school. I just want to make that abundantly clear. Now, David, you wanted to say something.
Right. So the only claim of it being bullying so far is coming from the investigator. They don't have evidence yet, or at least they haven't released it. And they haven't even, they don't even say specifically which investigator. But that is the only source I've heard about there being bullying. And it hasn't been confirmed by the general police office. It hasn't been confirmed by anybody on a public record, as far as I know. It's just this investigator who, off the record, told it to a newspaper, which is, you know, we can't verify that at all. And it doesn't seem like it's being accepted generally as part of the case yet. So I think they would need more evidence. It seems like it's one of this guy's theory, the investigator's theory, but they don't seem to have all the evidence there to suggest that yet. I think they're probably being a little lenient because he's younger. That's my guess, but I'm not really sure. Either way, obviously, a lot of people were bullied, and it doesn't make everyone snap into a murderer, mass murderer. So even if he was bullied, there are other ways to deal with it than this one.
Absolutely. I totally agree. But at the same time, there has not been any confirmation of said bullying in the school. And like I said, this kid just could have been, it could be, it most definitely is a mental health issue, because no one is just mentally sound grabbing a 9mm semi-automatic handgun and just going off and shooting up a school and saying that they're mentally sound, right? And balanced happily. Hell no. You know?
And one last thing.
Okay.
One last thing is that they are going to be, or the prosecutors now, like as of today, looking into what charges they want to lay against the parents. The prosecutor does want to create some sort of charge against the parents. They haven't said what yet, but they have said that their office is in the process of creating those charges.
And it's about damn time. And it's about damn time that the parents should be held accountable as well, because there's no way that this kid could have gone, like we talked about on the last show. There's no way that this kid got a hold of this gun without his parents being negligent, leaving that gun out readily available to be used, right? I mean, it's a semi-automatic 9mm handgun. Now, I understand some people like to have a gun right next to their bed, just in case ish hits the fan, right? Or it's in their nightstand, or some people put it underneath their bed, right? Just in case ish hits the fan. I get that. And I understand that piece. But when you wake up the next morning and you roll over, you check to see if the gun is there, right? Or you put the gun somewhere else. You put it in a lockbox. You put it somewhere, right? You put it somewhere so that whoever else, your 15-year-old son who thinks guns are cool or whatever, right, doesn't have easy access to getting that gun. In my mind, especially when they went and the cops went in there and they ransacked that house. It's funny, the whole theme today is gun control, if you notice. Everything is gun related. Trust me, Just ride this ride with us, okay? It's an interesting roller coaster ride. But this is all has to do with guns, gun violence. Every single story we have today. Absolutely insane. It was not a choice. Okay? This was not planned. Just happens to be gun control issues. Those cops went in there. They found a gang of guns, y'all. A gang of them. Okay? You're telling me all those guns were just locked away? I guarantee they were not. These are guns that are probably just laying all over the place, all over the house. You got that many guns, that many rifles. Your son probably learns even if it was locked away, your son learns the combination to the locks because kids be crafty and stuff. And you around somebody enough, over a course of a year, let's just say, you can get one of the combination numbers, then you get the next one, then you get the next one, and then finally you get all 3 or 4 numbers for the combination, and then you unlock the thing in a year. He got time. You know what I'm saying? Or it's, Dad, he's like, hey, son, I need you to go and get we're going to go and fire some rifles. I need you, I need you to go get some bullets for me. Okay, where are they at, Dad? Oh, they're in the thing. The combination is such, and such, and such. I trust you, son. Jackpot for him. Right?
And it seems he had full access because he also had a magazine, 11-round magazine that was full, as well as a bunch of additional free ammo that was just in his pocket.
There's another, apparently there was another magazine. There was 3 magazines, and one of them is missing right now. So he had 3, he had 3 magazines with him out here in those school streets, okay? Pumping round after round into people. He had 3 magazines. Apparently one of them is missing. 3 of them. They found 2. One of them is missing. So he may have had it hidden somewhere so that if he got to a certain place, he can actually go and reload, maybe. God knows where it is. But you got a kid that was in a home that was surrounded by weapons, surrounded by guns, easily accessible guns. I guarantee you that. There's and let's keep it real, y'all. We see people out here all the time that have guns mounted on their walls, right? Like it's a piece of art, right? But they still take that rifle out to go hunting and all that stuff. I see people with their guns just strewn about like they're nothing. They're just like, it's like they're pool sticks, for crying out loud. You know what I'm saying? Just leaning over in the corner of the house, just nonchalantly, loaded most of the time, just chilling in the cut. Who's to say that his dad and his mom are gun advocates or avid gun owners, enthusiasts, thank you, that are constantly cleaning guns, constantly doing whatever they need to. You know what I'm saying? Dad just happens to leave this 9mm just sitting there. It's easy. He could throw it in his book bag. Now, the other question is, does the school have metal detectors before you walk in? And if they do, what's the security like, right? And if they do, how did he get that gun in that easily, right? Obviously, that's another question in itself. But one thing I want to say before I throw it over to David, because I know he's chomping at the bit, I want to show you guys what the media was showing as these were the first images that we were getting as far as the identification and the identity of Ethan Crumbley. Take a look. These were the first images that we were seeing. Right here. Just a good old boy. Angelic, saintly. He wouldn't pick up a gun. He wouldn't do any of those things. These were the images that they were pulling out. I mean, this is like what? Maybe he was 12? in this photo? 12, 13? These were the photos that they had of him. Looked like he hasn't even hit puberty yet. Baby face. These were the images that they were putting out. Instead of showing us what he really looks like. That is a man who's hit. He is going through it. Going through puberty, y'all. Through puberty. This is Ethan Crumbley. This is not Ethan Crumbley. I just want to make that abundantly clear. They made it look like, oh, you know, this little baby, he's a little angelic baby, ran off with his 9mm and started shooting people. No, this is not a saint. This is not an angel. Maybe an angel of death. There's other videos of him out here in these streets, right? In these YouTube streets that people are showing, you know, because he tried to do YouTube channels and do all his thing like a little kid, right? Trying to do his talk about this, that, the third, or, you know, doing off testing out like Molotov cocktails and stuff like that. Weapons, by the way. But he looks like this in these videos. I'm not going to show y'all any of these videos. I'm not going to show you those. I ain't going to waste your time. I ain't trying to glorify this kid. But this is not what this kid looks like. They're trying to make it seem like, oh, this angelic, saintly, you know, man, kid would go get a 9mm, dressed like this, looking like this, and do some heinous crimes. This is what they're trying to throw out here. Instantly, they try to show this kid and say, look how angelic he was. Sorry, Kyle Rittenhouse, same thing. Look how innocent he looks with his chubby cheeks. No. This is what this kid looks like. This is a face of a mass shooter. This is a face of a mass murderer. He just happens to be 15 years old. But every single time we look at this stuff in the media, they're so quick to sit there and go, oh, he was a good boy. He was a Boy Scout. He did this, this, and this. Huh? Yeah, we see it on the other side. Instantly, they're demonized. Instantly. They're quick to sit here and say, Ethan Crumbley just had a really bad day. That's the rhetoric that we hear all the time. Oh, he just had a bad day. Oh, he had a sex addiction, so therefore that's why he went to that massage parlor and shot up and killed a whole bunch of people at this massage parlor, right? He just had a bad day. They'll show the photos of an angelic child and instantly say, oh, it was because of this, that, and the third. Nope. Now, the thing is, you know, I do have some photos. I do have some photos that or some screenshots that I want to show you guys here shortly. But I do want to talk about the fourth victim. David, do you mind giving us the talking about the fourth victim that was claimed in this shooting? Fourth death that was claimed in this shooting. Do you mind?
Yeah. So the fourth victim to die from the shooting was a 17-year-old student. And the prosecutor has said that this is just now being added to the charge as well for the murder. And those charges came just right after the new person died. It's Justin Schilling, who is, like I said, 17 years old. And died around 10:45 a.m. on Wednesday at McLaren Oakland Hospital in Pontiac. And for those who didn't hear yesterday, one of the students also died in a deputy's car on the way to the hospital. And the other three, just to remind everyone, was Hannah St. Juliana, Madison Baldwin, and Tate Meir. But They're still not released the names of all those that was injured so far. One of the teachers was also injured in the shoulder, but they just released this information, like I said yesterday evening, about the one that died. We don't have any additional information because the victim is underage as well, and so the only information we're really going to get is going to be authorized by the parents, which is probably what happened with Crumbley and why those pictures are out there, because his parents were the ones that chose to release them, most likely.
Chose to release those photos.
Mhm.
Look how angelic my child is. He does no wrong. He didn't do this thing. Make everybody feel sad for this child. Instead of, no, my child did a very, very bad thing. You show that mugshot. I don't care. At least that's what I would have done. That's me. How dare this child do this thing? So you get exactly what you get. You get the punishment that you exactly deserve. You take lives into your own, you take people's lives. And you're fine with that? Sure. Okay. I still love you, son. But you need to learn. Sorry. I mean, that's just me. Maybe I'm a little bit more savage. You know, maybe I'll be more savage of a father. I don't know. But when you got somebody out here doing something like this, I'm sorry. There is just, this is your punishment. And instead of throwing out photos of, look how angelic our son is. No, he's not. He's not angelic. Maybe he was, but he's not anymore. And God knows what happened during the time that you, from the time he did this photo to the time that he went out into the school and shot up a school, something must have happened. Then it's a question of, were you having conversations with your son? Did you know that there was a possibility of this happening? Did your son show any signs? Did your son show any signs of him acting this way? I'm going to show you guys a little something. Shout out to Len Street. I appreciate you. I appreciate you, Len Street. Thank you so much for sending me these screenshots. All right. And this is some crazy stuff, y'all. This is some absolutely crazy stuff. So this might look a little weird. We're going to try it and we're going to see how it goes. It might go, I don't have it laid out or anything, so it might just pop up in the middle of the screen here. So we're going to give it a shot. But here it is. Ethan Crumbley, Black Death, as David said yesterday, his Instagram account. Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. See you tomorrow, Oxford. Okay. So there's that. Okay. There's that. And obviously the account is, of course, been disabled, right? But there's some things in here. There's some very strange stuff. Like this. These are some of the things that he put up on his account.
And his father bought the pistol just the Friday before the shooting. So that's probably why those new photos are up there. He was practicing right after his father got it.
So got a pistol right there. Got a target right here. And I don't know what the hell all this other stuff is. And then it looks like that's Jigsaw right here from Saw. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that you can't have I'm not sitting here saying that you can't have somebody who puts out this kind of content, right? On their Instagram. You just because somebody has an Instagram account like this does not automatically mean, oh, ish is about to hit the fan. Right? There's plenty of people out here that are gothic, that like gothic themes, that love horror movies, that put out stuff like that all the time, so on and so forth, right? But when you have something that says this, I'm just going to throw that up again. Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. See you tomorrow, Oxford. And he goes to this high school. It makes you wonder. To me, this throws up a red flag. This is the reason why you heard one of the other kids go, I had a heads up. I had a feeling something was going to go down. Other people are saying that there were a countdown, right, on his social media. Here's the thing, though. The parents. What's up with the parents? Where were the parents at? They're not monitoring their son's Instagram account or any of his social media accounts. He's 15 years old. To them, in my personal opinion, he is still a child. All right? I know parents right now that are heavily monitoring their kids' phones at 16 years old. So this is a 15-year-old boy putting out content, saying stuff like this, and the parents didn't see any of this? You're telling me that the parents didn't see any warning signs at all? Not one warning sign whatsoever? Not one? But yet you have guns strewn all over the place. Multiple guns were found in that place, in that house. And I guarantee you not all of them were locked away, if even one was locked away. He shows it in this Instagram post. He got a gun. And he shoots it. And still on the top of that, it's, now I am become death, destroyer of worlds. See you tomorrow, Oxford. You're telling me your son, you're telling me you didn't see any signs of devilish, villainous, evil activity? You didn't see any of that? You're that self-centered that you don't see the things that are going on with your son? Your 15-year-old son? Like I said, obviously I'm not a parent, and I understand some kids deserve their freedom. Kids deserve a certain level of freedom. Absolutely. Right? Of course. But I feel like when it comes to your child, at some point, for a little while, let's just say this, okay? For a little while, right? They have to be tethered to you, right? You are stalking your children. You are tastefully cyber stalking your children. Does that make sense? You give them a little bit of freedom, but you still keep an eye on them, right? Because the internet is crazy out here. The access that they have, all they have to do is type in a thing, and they can have anything. Excuse me. Have anything at their fingertips. Anything. Right? You tastefully are overly protective of your children. Isn't that how we all are with our loved ones? You give them a little bit of, you give them the distance, you give them the freedom to a certain extent, you know what I mean? Because, they think they have all the freedom, but hold on, right? And I'm just talking as far as being a parent with a young, easily influenced child that has a device that can change the trajectory of their mindset in seconds. Wouldn't you be monitoring every single thing that they're doing? Damn right, Debbie. That's what good parents do. You monitor. Like I said, you tastefully cyberstalk your children. Tastefully cyberstalk, okay? Tastefully. All right? You give them the freedom that they deserve, but you still keep a little, just a little tug on that leash, little tug on that tether. Just hold on, son. That's it. So you're seeing all this stuff, and the parents didn't read any of that, didn't see any of that. I know parents that get an alert every single time that their kids do anything. If they post something on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, any of the main social media platforms, right? You get an alert instantly. So why not? Okay. Oh, my son just changed something or did posting something. Okay, cool. He just said that. We need to sit down and talk. That's it. That's it. So, for me, it's frustrating that this whole thing has gone down. 4 people have died now. The gruesome details of what has happened to these victims is just heart-wrenching, devastating. This kid, Ethan Crumbley, isn't even pleading guilty when clearly he's the one who had the gun, walked in, shot up a whole school, killed 4 people now, 8 injured, and he still pleaded not guilty. I'm still trying to make this all make sense in my head, y'all. Real talk. I'm still trying to make this all make sense. Like I said, there is no confirmation if he was actually bullied. There's speculation. There is hearsay, but there has not been any confirmation of him actually being bullied. And the only way we're going to know is if we hear it from the horse's mouth himself or from the parents. Now, I understand, David, you said something along the lines of the parents possibly getting charged. If I'm correct, I think they are getting charged.
Yeah, the prosecutor is planning on doing that.
Right.
So it should be going through. And basically, like I said, they haven't said exactly what they're going to charge them for yet. But the parents already have a paid lawyer to defend them. And so the investigators were talking about specifically that the parents refused permission for them to talk to their son, which is legal by Michigan law. They're allowed to do that since he's underage. But they also are being, basically they're suggesting that they allowed him to do this and kind of created the environment where he could create these sorts of problems or just whatever may drove. I mean, I think he's a sociopath the way he went through it, but whatever drove him to start shooting, we don't know yet, and they can't really talk to him unless the parents allow it. So we won't know much until I guess the actual court documents are released. If they're charging him as adult, I think they can release them even though he's under 15 or under 18. But they also have a bunch of video of him. Even though he claimed he did not do it, there's video pretty much from him from the moment he enters the building until everything ends, from a variety of cameras throughout the school, according to investigators. I haven't seen those videos, but they make it sound like they have the video of him coming out of the bathroom and starting the shooting, and they have video of him being arrested and everything. So even though he pleaded not guilty, they already have all of that information there. And that's obviously going to I mean, it's solid evidence. You can see him doing everything on the camera. So regardless of what he says, it's he's going to be found guilty just because of that. And yeah, and
he turned himself in. By the way, he turned himself in. So it's not like it's not like they showed up to his house and then they arrested him. And the entire time he's like, "It wasn't me. It wasn't me." Sound like a Shaggy song. He wasn't doing that. He walked in and he turned himself in. So, and then you turn yourself in, and then when you do that, you go, "Oh, I plead not guilty."
Doesn't make sense.
Make it make sense.
I don't know.
Like I said, but go ahead, David, real quick, because I got some stats I got to get through here real quick. Go ahead.
I was going to say it's a suggestion from his lawyer. That could be why. But either way, the video, as the officers point out, shows him. They say, as I say it, he came out with the intent to kill people, and they also describe the video showing him shooting people at very close ranges, aiming for the chest and head without any sort of emotional response on his face. So it does sound like, kind of a sociopath here. But basically, he was walking up to people and executing them at close without, any sense of remorse or guilt from what the videos or what the police are saying about the videos. He did fire around 30 shots. So that would be those other magazines that we were discussing earlier.
Yeah.
But it's described as by the officer, the recording and his actions are described as just absolutely cold-hearted and murderous. He says that the forensics team was working all night to recover those 30 shell casings. They do think he possibly fired a few more. They just haven't recovered the rounds or the shell casings yet. Obviously, he shot a lot of rounds, so it's going to take them a long time to find them. Even if they didn't hit somebody, they could be just lodged in the walls or anything.
Yeah, like I said, I'm still wrapping my mind around this whole thing. I mean, it's getting crazier and crazier, and this is some wild ish, y'all. This is some wild ish, and it's terrible. And this is a consistent issue that we see on a constant basis. And this kind of stuff needs to stop. This type of gun violence, especially in our schools, needs to stop. But like I said, we got a gang of stories right now, top stories that all revolve around guns and gun violence and the lack of gun control. Like I said yesterday, I'm all about having your right to bear arms, so on and so forth, right? I get that. But we need to have control within the gun control. There's no gun control. There's no control within the gun control. And then we need to start figuring this thing out because of this super chat right here. This statement makes a lot of sense. Laura Estrada, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. I got a gang of super chats that I got to get through, so I'm going to go through them really quick, David, okay? So thank you so much for the $10 super chat, but here it is. She says, we need to start talking about the PTSD our kids are going through. This next generation will be full of anxiety. We are failing our kids. We need counseling for the surviving teens. We most definitely do. But the thing is, this is the thing. If we figure out a proper way of controlling these gun control issues, we wouldn't have the first statement. We wouldn't have PTSD issues in children. We wouldn't have them needing counseling because they survived a heinous, horrific act, right? A horrific event. If we were more in control with our gun control, this statement, which is beautifully said, would not even need to happen. And I'm only saying this revolving around violence that happens in schools, school shootings that seem to be happening every other week now. Every other week. Okay? So thank you so much for the $10 super chat. I really do appreciate it. I got a couple other ones I got to get through real quick. All right. And of course, please, guys, I see over 500 souls watching the show right now. Please hit that like button down below. Send those likes past 200 likes. That would really, really mean a lot. All right. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Okay. Crush that subscribe button. All right. Working my way towards 50,000 subscribers. Okay. And we are almost there. We're the home stretch, y'all. Hold on. I got some more super chats. I'm just trying to scroll through. Len Street, again, thank you for the emails. And thank you so much for the $10 super chat. The school met with Ethan the day before the shooting, and they met with his parents the day of the shooting, and Ethan was still sent back to class, shaking my head, and that's when he went into the bathroom. Interesting. Is that true? Is that true? Because then, real quick, before you answer that, because it's a compound question. What were they saying to the parents and Ethan? What was the issue? Was he running amok? Was he starting some issues at school? Was he being a problem? Was it over the Instagram post? What were they talking about? David, thank you for the $10 super chat.
So they did contact his parents about the day before about concern over his social media posts, as a matter of fact. So the day before is actually when they kind of came to their attention on that. Allegedly, I haven't been able to verify this one, but allegedly he was supposed to have a meeting that day with the teachers and his parents. I'm not too sure about that one, but the other information is definitely true. And if we look at, I was looking at the general security of the school. It's not really that exceptional or anything. They're saying they did everything right, but it doesn't really look like it. They do have training through ALICE, which is a alert, lockdown, inform, counter, and evacuate. It's a training institute, and they're the ones that provide the training for the students, up to 3, or training for the teachers, and they have up to 3 drills a year for the students. All of the schools and all of the rooms are equipped with intercom systems. People can only enter the building after school starts if they're buzzed in. It does not have metal detectors. And that's generally everything they have in terms of security. They're saying that these measures were enough. They just don't think they worked in this circumstance, but obviously they don't really have that many measures to find firearms or anything that are brought into the class. They don't have metal detectors, and it doesn't seem like they have been practiced searching lockers for that sort of things. But they're saying everything worked, even though this still happened. I don't agree with that. It's not a very good system. That is their entire system, was just a little bit of training. They lock the doors, and they don't let anybody in unless they're already in there. Obviously, he was already in there with the gun. That the problem wasn't someone coming in after school started. It was someone coming in with a gun, which they don't have any measures to actually have prevented that in any way. So it does sound like to me that the school just had a bad system in place for this. Their main thing during the lockdown, their only activity was to just lock in place. So I'm not really sure what they were doing with the Alice Training Institute to get beyond just waiting in place. But allegedly that they were using that to help them prepare for incidences like this, as well as those drills. However, none of them prepared them for that whatsoever. And in 2020 to 21, the new procedures over different schools, not this one, did expel 49 students for possessing firearms, because they are allowed to look based on state law right now. It just does not seem like this is what Oxford did. And they, like I said, they did not have metal detectors. Most of their procedures are just to keep people out of the school once school starts. And that's really it as far as protections go. And of course, there's windows in every classroom. So the door buzzer's only going to do a little bit at most. Anyone with a pistol can shoot through the window and they're going to come in. So it does only seem like their methods are to keep people from coming in outside of school hours. It doesn't seem like there's anything in place to actually have prevented a active shooter, or to have really affected the class, protected the class better, because the running away wasn't part of their training. They were supposed to just stay in there. They chose to run away because they thought they were in danger, which they probably were, especially since I would assume any shooter these days knows that students are going to wait in that classroom until they get there, or until the police get there. They're going to hide there otherwise.
Yeah.
So basically, it just doesn't seem like the school did have these sorts of sort of securities that they needed to prevent a firearm incident, even though this is a thing Michigan as itself is aware of, and they were aware that the student had a problem. They're of course aware of the increase in violence. They just didn't have the systems in place to do this. Maybe they should have picked up on Crumbley earlier. I don't know how long he was posting these things, but at the same time, it seems mostly like the father is the one responsible for this, because he bought according to the police, he bought the pistol just the Friday before the shooting. And if they did have a meeting on that day with his teachers, likely that was a big factor in him choosing to use that weapon and shoot everybody. He just got it, and he was about to get in trouble, and he decided to shoot at the school instead. And I do think he's a sociopath, just from the descriptions of his lack of complete reaction to his shootings. And apparently, he's shooting people right, executioner style, right up in their face. So with no reaction whatsoever, you'd have to be a sociopath or psychopath or something like that.
Regardless, you can't sit there and not say that there's not something mentally, like that there's some sort of mental issue going on here. Because for someone to sit there and say, hey, I'm going to go and just do this heinous act, you're not sound mind and body. You're not. You're clearly something's off. But we got another super chat. Tricia 2026. Thank you so much for the $20 super chat. Hey, the highest super chat of the day. I really do appreciate it so far. But anyway, I do appreciate it. She says, I believe the plea is entered in weight of all the charges. Attorney may not enter not guilty or may enter not guilty to terrorism and other charges from list. You are absolutely right. You have a point there. He probably was like, no, I am not the T word, right? I am not that. But so I have to say not guilty for right now. And that could very well be it too. But I do think it is an act of T word. Okay, rarism. Okay, that's what I think personally. But he will be charged or he will be tried. And, he will be tried with a jury of his peers, and they will all find him guilty. I mean, it'll go without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, it'll be an opening shut case, real talk. So we'll see what happens here. But thank you so much for the $20 super chat. Dory McNulty, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. She says, sending love to you and all Pascalians. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. And thank you for all the super chats so far and all that. We both really appreciate it. This show really does appreciate it. Again, hit that like button down below. Send those likes all the way up. That would really, really mean a lot. There's so much that we got to talk about. And this is the main thing that we have right now about Ethan Crumbley. Obviously, he's a 15-year-old boy that was the one that was the shooter that shot up that Oxford high school, and Oxford, Michigan high school. And I just, like I said, I still can't believe it. But like I said, the more we glorify, the more we embrace these rights for guns, the more we're going to see these kind of stories pop off. And I know there's a lot of people that feel some type of way about Kyle Rittenhouse, but I'm telling you guys, as much as you might think it is not, it is sending a message to a lot of people out here. Him being found not guilty and all that, it is proving that this kind of stuff is okay. Here it is, the other thing too. We have more and more stories of people getting shot and killed in high school. The fact that your kid comes back home from a day at school is a blessing nowadays, instead of it just being the norm. Safety in schools are completely thrown out the window. You kiss your son goodbye, he may not come back that day because there's going to be some disgruntled kid that was either bullied or feels that he's been ostracized or feels like he's been not heard, ignored, wants to make up a statement that no one will ever forget. And yet we just keep letting them continue. We're so concerned about all these other things, what they should be, what kind of curriculum they should be putting in. Man, they're even talking about taking out Tom Sawyer, the book Tom Sawyer, out of literature, out of English classes and stuff. I mean, we're so fixated on this, all of these other things, rather than being fixated on one thing that we need to fix right now, which is the safety of our children. We fight, we violently gesticulate, we're throwing out all types of slurs and hateful rhetoric towards each other at these school board meetings about all these other things, whether to wear a mask, whether not to wear a mask. And yet kids are dying in the schools because there's not specific protocol not certain things that is taken seriously. There's no safety measures that are created to make sure that these children are safe. Yet we're so busy trying to be mad at each other about all this other crap when we should be fighting and arguing and trying to discuss and figure out what we need to do to make sure our children go to school and come back home safely in one piece and not heavily traumatized. Do you realize how many children, how many kids that were there that are going to have to seek counseling, speak to somebody? Do you realize how many people are going to be that traumatized that they're going to carry this kind of experience for the rest of their lives? Do you know how many other school shootings that have happened this year alone? It's been a long year, y'all. It's been a long year. But imagine all those kids. And here's the other thing, too. Because we just kind of go, oh, Ethan Crumbley, such a shame. Next coming up, we just keep letting it go. There's another Ethan Crumbley out here that's watching this stuff and saying, wait, he was successful. He didn't die. He didn't die. I could do this too. Because I'm so tired of not being heard. I want to be heard. You don't think that there was another Ethan Crumbley before Ethan Crumbley? There has been. There's been countless Ethan Crumbleys. Real talk. A lot of them took their own lives. But there were other Ethan Crumbleys that were like, I need to make a statement because I'm tired of not being heard, or I'm tired of being hurt. I'm tired of being bullied. They're all going to pay. If we just let this stuff keep being swept under the rug and we just go, oh, dang, another one, we're going to keep having more of this. More Ethan Crumbleys, more photos of him being angelic, saintly, a Boy Scout. Yeah, he's the one behind the gun, taking people's lives. We need to do something, and we need to start doing that now. Forget CRT. Forget figuring out about the masks thing. We need to figure out safety in these schools. And I know that kids are feeling, oh, I feel like I'm a prisoner, or I feel like I'm walking into school like I'm a thug because these metal detectors and whatnot. I get it. I feel them. Trust me, that's not fun. Being policed, being monitored, having your book bags rummaged through and stuff like that. You having your own freedom. I get it. But at the same time, if you walk in there and walk back out alive, then that's a win, in my opinion. That's another W in my book. David.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I actually want to go over this Alice training a little bit because, in fact, the first step, well, I think it's a combination of they didn't follow the steps, and these steps aren't necessarily the best ones to take in a lot of circumstances. So the first step is alert. They're basically supposed to be looking out on people's social media and keeping an eye on these specific students when this happens. That might have been what they were getting ready to start doing, I guess, with the meeting the day before the shooting. But obviously that was a little too late. They weren't taking the dangers or the notifications seriously. They didn't think the head was serious. And that's pretty much as clear of a sign of danger as you can get, a severed head. I don't know. But either way, after looking out for signs that there might be danger or violence, or looking for signs of violence that they somehow missed, such as someone throwing a head off the building, your next step is to evacuate if it's safe. That means if the shooter's not in your location and they're not in your vicinity, and you know that, you should leave at that point. However, if the shooter is already in the building or near you and you don't know if you're safe, you're supposed to stay in there. And you should only leave the room if you know you're safe. Most of their training on that seems to focus on how to break windows and how to not cut yourself getting out of a window. I mean, you can just open most of these windows, even though they're like narrow. But either way, that's most of the training on the evacuate part. Is focused on waiting until it's safe. Now, their barricade section, they say, is unique because it's not a static effort. However, everything they describe, basically, They just teach teachers how to make better barricades. They teach students to split up in the location so that they don't hear exactly where anyone is to shoot them. And these are the general guidance for the lockdown part. They're also supposed to be, one of the training is just to have video surveillance and call 911, which went through immediately. And I've already described the counterpart. That was the making noise so they can't figure you out. That's their form of counter. I mean, they say counter, it's not supposed to be violent. You're not supposed to fight somebody with a gun. So, I mean, that makes sense. By counter, they just mean confuse the individual so that they don't know exactly where anyone is. And then the last one is evacuate. Once everything is safe and you're secured in that location, you should evacuate at that point. But most of their training is that basically focuses on barricading the room and dispersing noise until the intruder's location is known exactly so that you can escape safely. And I would say they messed up really bad on the alert situation because there's definitely stuff there to alert them in the first place. And I just think they did take a little too long to get to that part. Their lockdown, it's pretty standard lockdown, and it worked. Apparently, when they evacuated, that was not actually Crumbley out the window. When you saw the students run away, that was allegedly and actually a police officer, according to the police. And that comes from the police, so I assume they're correct that it was a police officer. And that's when they decided to leave, which actually was against the training. But thankfully, it wasn't the shooter. So he couldn't just get them through another window or anything. It was actually an officer. So they were actually secure at that point when they ran away. But that is their general training for Alice and for school safety at this location. And like I said, there's no detectors, there's no bag searches, no clear bag requirements. I could not find any references to them doing locker searches either. It's not part of their procedures. This is part of the procedures at certain schools I've been to. You can see it in the procedure codes, the booklets they give you or whatever. So I don't think this training is the best training for these kinds of circumstances, but even if they were well trained in this, they completely missed the alert stage. They had these signs of a dangerous person. They did the barricading very well from what we can tell, but everything else just kind of fell apart, it seems like, other than specifically their barricade training. And a lot of that training is actually very useful because it seems as if a bunch of teachers in previous shootings did not know how to, use chairs and the like to barricade a door so you can't open it. So that training is useful in that aspect for sure. But overall, it doesn't seem like they were sufficiently trained or taking this sufficiently seriously to prevent these issues.
Yeah, and thank you so much for that information, man. And that's the thing. I mean, it's almost to a point where it doesn't even seem like there's enough safety precautions to even stay safe. Does that make sense? You can barricade a door all day long, but does that really fully protect these children? And I know that they can't, they've talked about maybe the teachers having guns and all that stuff, but that would turn into a recipe for disaster, right? Or that's potential for that. But I guess, you do what you need to do. You do what you can do to protect yourself and the children that you are teaching by doing those things. And that's why those desks are so dang heavy. If you notice, they're extremely heavy now. It takes 2 or 3 people to actually shove that desk up against that door. But yeah, like I said, it is just it's a hard subject because it's not easy dealing with that. It's not easy knowing what the right thing to do is, but at least we are doing something. At least we're taking a step towards that. But I do think that we have to look to the parents. And I'm not only saying Ethan Crumbley's parents, I'm saying the parents in general, right? We as parents have a responsibility. We have an obligation to make sure that our kids are safe and that our kids are safe at home too, that they're mentally okay, that they, if they're needing help, right? We're giving them the proper counseling or the proper help that they actually deserve, that they actually need, so that stuff like this, like Ethan Crumbley, doesn't happen. Because clearly there were warning signs. I guarantee you the parents saw warning signs. And maybe they tried to do something, or maybe they didn't do anything at all. But if they're watching and monitoring their child's social media posts, that's some real stuff, y'all. It takes a lot, like I said. Well, I didn't say this, but it does take a lot for someone to go to social media to say certain things like this, or anyone. It takes a serious amount of energy and effort to even just put in a status update on Facebook and saying, I'm really upset. I'm not happy right now. I could use a friend right now. And you're putting that on social media, right? I'm just using that small example, right? He didn't say that, but I'm just saying, for you to go onto your phone and go, I'm really upset today, I could use a friend, on your status on Facebook or Instagram or wherever, that takes a lot of energy for you to do that. So imagine the amount of energy it took for him to type in, now I am become death, destroyer of worlds. See you tomorrow, Oxford. That takes a lot of energy. That is a lot of conviction, right? To post something like that. So if anyone was to see that, bruh, what? You see what I'm saying? Instantly, red flag pops up. We need to sit down and talk to our son. Red flag pops up. We need to talk to our friend. Or red flag pops up. We need to bring this attention to the teachers and to the faculty so that they know what's going on, so that they keep an eye on this kid, because you never know what kind of ish is about to pop off. That's what needs to be happening here. Beyond, more than just searching through book bags and metal detectors, right? There needs to be more than just that. We all have to be full court press on this. All of us. And, Carmen, praying, you ain't wrong. You can't stop violence from happening, but you can do everything you can to quell it. You can do whatever you can to slow things down, right? If they did an actual investigation into that deer's head, for crying out loud, that could have made Ethan Crumbley go, well, never mind, I might not do it right now. I'm going to hold on to that idea, and I'm not going to do it right now. That could have happened. That could have happened, but they didn't. They just let bygones be bygones. Let deer heads be deer heads, and they moved on. So there just needs to be more. There just needs to be more attention and more care. We got a super chat here. Hilda, thank you so much for the Norwegian $100. I don't know what the Norwegian currency is, but thank you so much. As a Norwegian, it's so hard for me to understand why in the U.S. you feel you need guns. Not even the police carries. Guns are in the cars if needed. Now, that is a very deep question that I wish I could answer. I don't know the reason why we have this need for guns everywhere. Okay. But there is that need for guns for some weird reason everywhere. And if it wasn't so glorified, if it wasn't so in everybody's face, if we actually respected guns, I think that we would have a different turnout. But I will say this, though. It still will not stop people from doing violent things, violent acts. If you are set on doing something terrible and focused on that, you're going to do whatever you can by any means necessary to get that message that you want to get across. So whether it was going to be his father's gun, he would have been able to obtain some other person's gun, or maybe buy one, through a friend or something like that. God knows. Thank you, Agro Vixen. Thank you, Nur. You just see what I'm saying. So if there's a will, there's definitely a way. His way would just happen to be really easy. He just had to walk out of his bedroom and just walk down the hallway and grab a gun. You see. But we got to get into our next stories, unfortunately, because there's a lot more we got to talk about. And like I said, if there's more information about Ethan Crumbley and the other victims, of course, with Oxford High School, we will be talking about it right here on the Pascal Show. So do me a favor. I see over 500 souls watching the show right now. Please do me that favor. Hit that like button down below. Send those likes all the way up. Send them past 300 likes. That would be amazing, okay? Help us with the algorithm, and let's get into our next story. Now, the next story today is something that's really it's really sad, and this has to do with legendary producer Clarence Avant. His wife was killed recently in a robbery inside of their home. So we have a little article I want to show you guys really quick. And here it is. AR, you sent me a blog post, but you sent me the wrong link. So try again. Send it to me again, and maybe I can read this before the show's end. But you sent me something completely different from 2016. All right, moving on. Jacqueline Avant, wife of music exec Clarence Avant, shot and killed in home robbery. Now, we have a news clip, too, because it's a very strange story. It is very strange. There's a lot of people that are speculating different things right now, okay? But Jacqueline Avant, a philanthropist and wife of music icon Clarence Avant and mother-in-law to Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos, was fatally shot in her home early Wednesday, according to a spokesperson for Netflix. Police suggested Avant may have been targeted. I don't think that it's a random attack, but I can't speculate that right now. Beverly Hills Police Department Chief Mark Stainbrook said in a press conference on Wednesday afternoon, the suspect or suspects are at large and the motive is still unknown, Stainbrook said, and the investigation is still going. Now, I do have this video clip I want to show you guys. And, this is just a terrible story, y'all. Terrible story.
And tonight, a murderer is on the loose as a legendary music family mourns the loss of their matriarch.
Yeah, the wife of music industry pioneer Clarence Avant was shot and killed during a home invasion. Tonight, KCON's Jake Reiner is live in their Beverly Hills neighborhood with the latest for us. Jake?
Susie and Juan, investigators may have left, but security remains here, keeping any non-residents out of this neighborhood. A closer view at the crime scene Wednesday night. LAPD detectives and forensics teams are done. Our cameras allowed next to the house for the first time. Neighbors still in shock.
I cannot believe this is happening to our neighborhood.
Take a peek from up above and you can see a shattered sliding glass door, the entry point for the home invaders who police say shot Jacqueline Avant.
Beverly Hills Fire Department paramedics transported the victims to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. Unfortunately, the victim, identified as 81-year-old Jacqueline Avant, did not survive.
Police say the suspects were gone when they arrived on scene. The home also belongs to music executive icon, entrepreneur, and film producer Clarence Avant. The chief says Clarence was home at the time as well as a security guard, but neither were hurt.
And I thought, who is this guy?
Mr. Avant was the subject of a recent Netflix documentary called The Black Godfather. Jacqueline, or Jackie as she's known, has been a well-known philanthropist in Los Angeles for decades. Most notably, she was a huge supporter of the UCLA International Student Center and Watts Neighbors.
I used to see her all the time walking on Hillcrest, and we always used to say hello. Such a nice lady. It just really saddens me and upsets me.
It'll be up to detectives to search through any available security footage at the home and in the neighborhood, a city the Avants called home for 55 years.
I am really upset about this story. Why? Because, yes, Clarence Avant was or is known as the Black Godfather. I mean, he has done some amazing stuff in Hollywood for Black films, for Black Hollywood, and all that. And then now his wife was targeted in a shooting inside the house. The shooting happened inside the house. Now, what's strange to me is what they said earlier, that the shooting happened inside the house, but the second, he was home and the security guard was home too. Where were they? That part doesn't make any sense. I'm going to roll back because I want to make sure everybody heard that. You know what I'm saying? Because that part doesn't make sense. And I'm not trying to accuse anything, but it seems a little strange. There's another thing I want to show you guys here in this video too that I found strange too, because clearly the shooting happened inside the house. And you can see it in this thing. Well, let me show you guys here. 1 second.
Jacqueline Avant did not survive.
Police say the suspects were gone when they arrived on scene. The home also belongs to music executive icon, entrepreneur, and film producer Clarence Avant. The chief says Clarence was home at the time as well as a security guard, but neither were hurt.
Okay. Huh? So he was home. Like I said, I'm not trying to accuse anything. I'm just saying. As Len Street just said, facts. Math ain't mathing to me. Okay? Like I said, I got a t-shirt coming out soon. I promise you that. All right? But this math ain't mathing to me. You have Clarence, and I understand. He's an older gentleman. He's an older man. Okay? I'm not sitting here saying that he's able-bodied, running around, tackling some sort of assailant that might be in his home or some burglar, right? But he was home and his security guard was home. Now, here's the thing. As a security guard, your job is to be the able-bodied son of a gun that you is. You're the one who's supposed to be tackling and putting your life on the line to save someone like Jacqueline. But no, that did not happen. So what the hell is going on here? What? Both of them were taking naps? Both the security guard and Clarence were taking naps? Hell to the no. So what the hell was going on? Now, I'm not sitting here saying that, they could have been in another room, talking, getting some stuff taken care of, maybe listening to some really, really loud music. I mean, I'm throwing out every excuse and then some out on this piece, okay? I'm throwing everything against the wall to see what sticks, right? But this doesn't make sense to me, bruh. Like, not at all. He was there. Now, one thing before I throw it over to David, I hear you. I just want to show this still here. Now, from my understanding, there wasn't really any sign of breaking in. This right here, now, if she might have been shot right there in front of this right here, but it all happened indoors. The glass is all on the other side of the outside of the sliding glass door, not on the inside. So what the hell happened here? Because here's the thing. Could have been an inside job. Most definitely could have been an inside job. Could have been a thing where Clarence wanted a divorce, or maybe she wanted a divorce. One of them wanted a divorce. Like I said, I'm just speculating up in this mother level, okay? But they could have been like, this is not working, parting ways, and, just like that old school Eddie Murphy stand-up from Raw, she just wanted half of everything, and he wasn't about body. So what did he do? Suddenly she is shot inside the home whilst, yes, I said whilst, Clarence and his security guard are all up in the crib too. And they didn't hear nobody? Nobody? That don't make no sense to me. Now, David, sup?
All right. So
sorry, man. I'm just trying to work it out in my head. It doesn't make sense.
No, I agree. This one is a strange one. So Okay, this is first I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Police Chief Michael Moore. They're not the ones investigating this case. That's the Beverly Hills Police, but the statement does come from the LA Police Chief. Basically, he was talking to the news agencies, and he suggested that it might be possible it's related to a stream of burglaries in the area, that he's recently created a team of 20 specialist detectives to look into these random burglaries throughout the area of Los Angeles. But on the other hand, the police in Beverly Hills itself, where the incident actually happened, report a little bit differently. So their chief, Mark Steinberg, says, "I don't think it's a random attack, but I can't speculate on that right now." And he goes on to give pretty much, he says nice things about her. Says that Jacqueline was an amazing woman, wife, mother, philanthropist, and a 55-year-old resident of Beverly Hills who has made an immeasurable positive contribution and impact on the arts community. She will be missed by her family, friends, and all of the people she has helped throughout her amazing life. So it does seem as if the police are very actively looking into this, and they do think that, like I said, they won't give more information right now, but they think it was targeted. That means they think it was very specifically a hit of some kind, or a vengeance killing or something like that.
But vengeance killing, like for what though?
I don't know.
Vengeance for what? I understand, but I'm just saying, what did this woman do? You know what I mean? This is an 80-year-old woman. What'd she do?
I don't know. It doesn't seem like the police have had any trouble with her. Beverly Hills Police seems to have worked with her before in a positive light. They seem to like her. So it's not unlikely that she was having an issue with any sort of law enforcement based on what the Beverly Hills chief is saying. He doesn't explicitly say it, but it does sound like he might have known her personally from some of the things he was saying. But that's really all we have, is they think somebody did this on purpose, and they think that it was targeted at her. Like I said, the LA chief was going with a different story about burglaries, which I don't think is related, but he said it, so I just wanted to make sure everybody knew. But the Beverly Hills chief, the one that's actually investigating this, thinks she was targeted specifically, which is very different from what the LA chief said. And I mean, if you look at it, like you said, the damage to the window came from inside. So wherever the violence was inside the building, if it doesn't look like they broke in, it looks like a bullet went through it, or they broke out trying to get away, maybe. But like you said, the glass went outside. That means whatever damaged it came from inside. So that was a body going through it, or maybe a weapon or an object that was thrown. I mean, you can see how well it's shattered, and it's spread out pretty well. So it had to be a large or heavy object to break that much of the window. I mean, you can see it's broken from top to bottom.
Right.
That's why I kind of suggested it might be somebody jumping through it. Though it's not really easy to jump through windows, but it is like the height of a person. I don't know. It could have been multiple objects, but like you said, for sure, we know that the force came from the inside. So it wasn't like somebody outside shot into the building or did anything like that. Somebody damaged the building from the inside, and that's weird. Like you said, I think you already mentioned everybody that was with her. There was, like you said, several other people with her. She had a security guard there, as well as the others. No one was injured. No one else was attacked. No one was even bothered except for her. And they won't tell us any more than this, but that's all the police are saying right now.
It just doesn't make sense to me that 1 minute he is. I mean, you have all these things, right? You have not all these things, but you have two other people in the house with you. They didn't hear anything. You have a security guard where he is supposed to be like alert, right? Aware of his surroundings, constantly making sure people are safe. And that guy it sounds like the guy didn't even do anything. So it's weird. He's an 80-plus-year-old man. So I get it that he's not going to be running after that guy, trying to take that alleged shooter down, right? But that's why you have a security guard, to make sure everyone that you have in the house and yourself are safe. So why did this happen? And, like I said, it's going to be something that people are going to be wondering for a while, because this is something that doesn't make any sense to me, guys. It doesn't. Now, it could very well be something like somebody was feeling some type of way. I saw Reagan say something where maybe somebody out there wanted Clarence to suffer. And one of the things you do is you either go after their wallet, or you take somebody that they love, or you take something that they love dearly as revenge, right? And he's been in the business for a long time. Maybe there's something that's been sitting there festering in somebody's soul for a really long time, and they put a hit out on his wife. That could very well be it too. But hopefully they will get into more investigation in this story, because it just doesn't make any sense. And I say it all the time. The math ain't mathin', but dag nabbit, the math ain't mathin' with this one, baby. It just ain't. The fact that the security guard and Clarence were unharmed says something else to me. That there's something deep with this one. So hopefully we get down to the bottom of it and find out what the hell is going on. But this one's really, really strange to me. Real talk. We got to go into our next story, guys, because we got a lot of other stories to cover. This one, and like I said, that all had to do with a gun too. Oh, and by the way, before we go into the next story, there has been so many stories of looting, so many stories of smash and grabs, so many stories of people getting robbed, homes getting invaded. That is true. We've been seeing it all over the news as of recently. People just going into people's homes and just taking their stuff. I mean, there's footage of a woman, for example, something as simple and as small as two men robbing a woman who is pushing a baby carriage or baby stroller, right? And they steal her bottle warmer and like some other items that were for her baby. They just take it off of her, literally, like right on the street. Things are getting very, very crazy out here in these streets. We're hearing stories of Louis Vuitton or Nordstrom's or Gucci stores, or, the high fashion stores getting smashed and grabbed. People just going in waves of people going in, smashing and grabbing, taking things within seconds, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of stuff in seconds, y'all. Just a mob of people coming in and running out with all kinds of loot. Crazy, right? Whole bunch of people boosting a lot of stuff. And the thing is like, hey, as things start to get crazy or crazier, we're going to hear more stories like this with like Jacqueline Avant. Because soon they're going to start going and invading people's homes, especially rich homes. Rich homes. It's terrifying to think that, y'all. It's terrifying. David, real quick.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so earlier in the year, what's his name? Gavin Newsom, I think, the governor of California, he did pass a law in July to kind of start targeting these people that loot the buildings. So this has been going on a little bit longer than the biggest stories we've heard of. It was happening before that, but the law that went through targeting these burglaries happened on July 21st. And part of why this happened, allegedly, is that there was a new law in California which drops the penalty for shoplifting considerably. And apparently, according to some news agencies, this is why individuals in some of these locations are going into these thefts right now, because of the decreased punishment for burglaries and looting and that kind of thing in California. Means that they're not really going to be facing severe of charges. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it is a significant difference. It is, as long as you have less than $950 worth of material, it is not a crime, I think. Or I mean, it's a crime, but it's not a like a felony or anything you're probably going to get charged with. It's the way it goes. Right. That's why after that law went through, they ended up making this store looting law to target people and make them more punished for these mass lootings. I'm not sure how much of effect it's going to have. I mean, the law, he signed the law a long time ago, and it's still happening, like 6 months later or so. I guess it didn't work.
Yeah. This is like I said, it's the most wonderful time to go steal. Like literally, it's the time of year, right? Everyone is sitting there wanting to, get things for their loved ones, get things for the people that they care for, the thing that their family really wants really, really bad. The fact that there's a lot of people without jobs. It's just going to get crazier. It's just going to get crazier. So I say to everybody, just be safe out there. Keep your head on a swivel. When you're walking around with with your bags filled with merchandise that you've bought, don't be so don't put it out there like that. You know what I'm saying? Try to find ways to cover your stuff, especially those logos. Because you could just get jacked right there in the middle of a parking lot, just because you walked out of a Louis store, right? Or just because you came out of a Nordstrom or something like that with bags filled with stuff. Just be careful out there. People are really nuts. It's getting nuttier out there, and people are literally getting shot. People are getting robbed at gunpoint. Because it's the Wild West out there now. So just be safe and be crafty, be smart. And don't leave that merchandise in the back of your car thinking, oh, no one will break into my car. No, they will break into your car. They will. So don't be stupid, okay? Bring the stuff in. If you have a family member that has expensive taste, I don't know. We all have that one, right? We all have that one that just is, just all about brands, right? So just be safe, okay? With all those Apple, computers and the Apple stuff and all the electronics and all that, be safe out there. People are nuts right now, okay? Especially when it comes to your porch and you got stuff from Amazon being dropped off. Yo, make sure you're around when they drop off that ish, because that stuff is going to get swiped. I'm just being real. We in that time. No one gives a damn. No one
have them
damn right now. Go ahead.
Have them drop it off at a side door or out of sight if you have a package coming.
Bang. You know what I mean? Put in a little thing. Hey, just make sure you drop it off in the bag. Blah blah blah. Just do whatever by any means necessary, so that you don't have just people trying to take your ish. Straight up. Okay. And then and then you can floss. Then you can flaunt later on, right? Then you can flaunt that ish later on, right? But don't be stupid when you're walking out of those stores. People will run up and just snatch it and run. Be careful, okay? All right, we got to get into this next story. Now, this one is absolutely nuts, and you do not want to miss this one, okay? Have mercy. Have mercy. Okay, guys. Well, Alec Baldwin, we got to go into this story. Alec Baldwin. If you don't remember, he was on the set of a movie that he was also producing called Rust. He shot and killed his DP, his director of photography, right there on the set with a gun that he thought was empty. The whole set believed was empty, only for the gun to be fired, killing his DP, Helena Hutchins, and injuring his director, okay? Now, apparently the bullet was lodged in his director's shoulder, the same bullet that killed Helena Hutchins. Okay. We all know this story, right? And this story gets thicker and thicker, and it's getting crazier and crazier, and everyone's doing this. It's his fault. No, it's his fault. No, it's her fault. No, it's his fault. You have a armorer that had no experience whatsoever, yet she came from a family of weapons experts and armorers as well, but she had no experience whatsoever handling all the guns as well. So you have all these people pointing the finger, blaming everybody else except themselves, okay? Now, Alec Baldwin has come out and has said something randomly out with his wife, basically defending himself and speaking on behalf of losing a colleague, losing somebody that he highly, highly, highly respected. Okay? Now, this man is officially doing an exclusive interview tonight. It's airing tonight on ABC with George Stephanopoulos, right? I think that's how you say his last name. I keep on messing it up. But dude is great. Yeah, Stephanopoulos. Right. So, dude is a beast, okay? This looks like a very, very interesting interview. But there's something that they dropped in this promo. And shout out to the guys who put together this promo. My God, it makes me want to watch this with popcorn. You know what I mean? It's the kind of interview you want to tell everybody to shut the hell up in the room. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of vibe I'm getting. It's like, shut up. He's talking. You have silence, complete silence for 2 hours, right? Or for 1 hour, however long this interview is going to be. But the crazy thing is something that he says in this video, and I have to show it to you guys. But the thing is that I'm going to tell you this too. I am going to be jumping in and commentating in between because of, YouTubes and stuffs. Okay. So understand this is not going to be a continuous, play of the video. I have to because, of YouTube. All right. So here is the promo for Alec Baldwin's exclusive interview after this horrific event that happened on the set of Rust. Let's take a look.
She was someone who was loved by everyone who worked with and liked by everyone who worked with and admired. I mean, even now, I find it hard to believe that. It just doesn't seem real to me.
You haven't said much in public since that tragic accident. Why speak out now?
See, and that's the thing. That's my question. Why are you speaking up right now, bruh? Why right now? I mean, is this a good move on his part? Is this smart or no? Right? That's the question. But why? Great question by George Stephanopoulos. Why? Why is he finally speaking out now with George Stephanopoulos? I'm just going to say Stephanopoulos until, it turns into a drinking game. But why? Good question, right?
I think the big question, and the one you must have asked yourself 1,000 times, how could this have happened? You've described it as a 1 in a trillion shot, and the gun was in your hand. How do you come to terms with that? It wasn't in the script for the trigger to be pulled.
Well, the trigger wasn't pulled. I didn't pull the trigger.
What? Like I said, that is the bombshell line right there. I'm going to roll it back. Because I still don't believe it. He said, what?
It wasn't in the script for the trigger to be pulled.
Well, the trigger wasn't pulled. I didn't pull the trigger.
So you never pulled the trigger?
No. I would never point a gun at anyone and pull a trigger at them. Never.
What did you think happened?
Okay. I'm sorry. But he says he didn't pull the trigger? He says he didn't pull the trigger? No. Like, that doesn't work for me. So now, hold on. Because I still don't believe. We gonna play it again.
It wasn't in the script for the trigger to be pulled.
Well, the trigger wasn't pulled. I didn't pull the trigger.
So you never pulled the trigger?
No. I would never point a gun at anyone and pull a trigger at them. Never.
What did you think happened?
Okay, we don't need to see the rest of it because clearly that's the biggest moment right there, right? It airs tonight, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time on ABC. And real talk, take a look at this video or this trailer, this promo. It's very well done. But exactly, Tyler, WTF? He says, I did not pull the trigger. Now, here's the thing. Clearly, he's going to be seeing court. He's going to be seeing the inside of a courthouse. He's going to be tried. He's catching charges. Okay. But he's literally saying that he did not pull the trigger. What I'm still trying to understand how you have a gun in your hand and it just goes off by itself. How does that work? He says, just so you guys hear me one more time, he says himself that he did not pull the trigger. Okay. David, you got something to say? Because to me, I'm going, how do you... No. You just, no. You, the gun was in your hand. How do you suddenly not pull a trigger that was pulled when it was in your hand? What was there a imaginary bullet that just traveled from another place that went through the set and hit them straight in the chest and the director in the shoulder? A magic bullet? Are we back in JFK assassination days? Like, this doesn't make any sense to me.
No, it doesn't make sense. It's he pulls the trigger. It doesn't even make sense to say he doesn't, because he's acted in movies where he shot at people before and pulls the trigger. I mean, it's how you fire the blanks. They don't fire on their own. You still have to pull the trigger for the blanks. Either he's in denial or he's just lying to get out of a lawsuit or something, because it doesn't fire unless you do something to it. I don't know what he was using exactly. I think he was using a revolver too, which even more so doesn't have any moving parts other than the hammer and the trigger. I guess he could have pulled the hammer back and let go. It's still the same thing as firing it though. So I don't know. I don't know what it means.
I'm going to play a little bit more of this because, George Stephanopoulos does ask a lot of good questions here. There is one part. Let me just play this. Let me just play a little bit more.
How do you respond to actors like George Clooney who say that every time they were handed a gun, they checked it themselves?
That's a very good question as well, right? Like I said, there's so all the questions that I would be asking, George is asking them right now. Like, yo, you're telling me that George Clooney says he always checks before he uses the gun. What would you say about that? But he's still, regardless, in the interview saying that he did not pull the trigger. What?
Your emotions are so clearly so right there on the surface. You felt shock. You felt anger. You felt sadness. Do you feel guilt? You said you're not a victim, but is this the worst thing that's ever happened to you?
Yes. Yeah. Because I think back and I think of what could I have done.
Alec Baldwin, unscripted. Okay. So there you have it. That's the majority of the video. Okay. Now here's the thing. My question to the fam and to David is this a smart move for Alec Baldwin? Is this smart for him to do this? Here's the reason why I ask. Because this interview is going to be extremely telling. Extremely. And they can use this interview in the court when he gets tried, when he gets brought in for trial. They can use this against him if he says anything stupid, like, I didn't pull the trigger. Huh? Sorry, but that's a stupid thing to say on an exclusive interview with George Stephanopoulos. Okay? Drink.
And
this doesn't make sense.
Some people were saying it's it could be an old revolver, but that doesn't make a difference. Basically, on the back of a round, there's this little round area that gets hit with the hammer, and then that causes an explosion that shoots the bullet out. So something needs to hit the back of that round, or that explosive's never, ever going to go off.
Exactly.
That means the hammer has to hit it. And on a revolver, the hammer and the trigger are the only things that move. So either he pulled the trigger or he pulled the hammer halfway back and then let it go so it hit the back of the round. However, it sounds like he was holding it like he was firing it, so he had to pull the trigger in that instance. Malfunctions don't generally speaking, a gun doesn't just randomly malfunction and fire around without any sort of button press or like trigger press. If it malfunctions, it's just not going to fire, or it's going to have a problem turning or ejecting the round. It's going to hurt you more likely than it would hurt anybody else with a malfunction. It's not going to just randomly fire on its own. Maybe if you dropped it really hard, that can trigger it in a pistol, but he didn't drop it really hard. He was holding it. So there's not really a way for him to have. There wasn't a way for that round to just leave the bullet unless he pulled back the hammer and let it go, or pulled the trigger to let the hammer go that way.
So there's that possibility, right? But still, he was still holding the gun. So regardless, say that he half pulled back the hammer and then let it go and went pop, right? Maybe that's a possibility too. That's an extremely excited bullet to get out of that gun, just to say, right? But he pulled back maybe the hammer a little bit and then boop, and it fling back and then it went off. But you can't sit here and say that you were not holding the gun that went off that killed your one of your co-creators, right? And injured your director. I mean, you can't sit here and say, you just can't, man. Like I said, man, I keep saying the math ain't mathing, but the math ain't mathing for me on this one. And the fact that he's saying this, it could very well be denial. It could very well be him sitting there going, bruh, I don't believe I like, maybe in his mind, he has cut that part out of his mind, out of his memory, because he just cannot even fathom the idea of taking someone's life. I mean, who does, right? If you are living a regular everyday life, I mean, obviously, Alec Baldwin's life is, I'm sure, extremely on the level of spectacular, right? As far as, just his lifestyle, right? But as far as taking someone's life, the taking of someone's life, no one ever really imagines that happening, being in the same room as someone else and actually taking that innocent person's life. No one ever thinks that. No one. So I could see where there is that denial, right? Famous quote from American Beauty: never underestimate the power of denial. Never. So maybe he's just in a full-on level of denial, right? Or maybe he's just in some cocaine-induced trance where he's getting his Charlie, Charlie, I forgot his name now. Damn. What's his name? Charlie Sheen. He's getting his Charlie Sheen on right now, just full on in a completely different stratosphere right now, mindset, because he just cannot believe that he was the person that took another person's life. I mean, think about it. That's insane. It's an insane thought. I could never sit here and say that I would ever be mentally prepared, right, for anything like that to happen, especially when you are. And I do think that he is innocent with this situation, innocent in the act of holding the gun and not knowing that there was a bullet in the gun. It was a massive mistake. He will be tried. God knows what will happen, but he should be charged. I do believe that, because someone is not here anymore. A mother, a human being, is not here on this planet because of negligence. So this is it's a tough one, and I can see how I could see him going like, I wasn't even there. You know what I mean? Just denying, because he's like, I would never take someone's life. Sure, I'm an ass. Sure, I'm this, that, and the third. Sure, I'm Alec Baldwin. But me taking someone's life? Oh my God, I could never do that. Right?
Mm-hmm. And I don't know what makes this strange still is that this happened, from what I understand, between shoots. So they weren't doing a scene at the time. He might have been practicing for one. They never said explicitly. I mean, it makes sense if they were going to go into a next scene, which that's kind of what they do at movies usually. They do a scene, they do a run, and then they do the next scene. So I don't know. I guess during that interim time, he was playing with the gun, or he was practicing the scene, one of the two, and he pointed it at them, and it went off. He still pointed it at them, and I don't know. Like he's pointing a gun at people, not during a scene or anything. If that's not part of the script, why is he even doing it? They say it's not part of the script, but I don't have the script. I haven't seen it.
Right.
I don't know. This is all very strange. It just doesn't make sense that if they're practicing a scene or they're in between a scene where he uses the gun, he's just either playing with it or holding it, and it accidentally goes off somehow. But still, something has to move, and I mean, see, even if the gun was cocked back when he got it, that might be a possibility here where he didn't realize he was pulling the hair trigger, because a lot of revolvers are double action. So, or I think it's what's called. So, like you pull the trigger, it pulls the hammer back, and then it locks the hammer there. You keep pulling the trigger, and then it sends it forward. So it takes a lot more pressure to fire it that way on the trigger. But if somebody already had the hammer cocked back, the trigger's already mostly back. All you have to do is barely touch it at that point to send the hammer forward, of most revolvers, and then it will fire. So that's very likely something that did happen, is he didn't realize how easy it is to fire a double action revolver once it's been pulled back, especially if he's only fired for like the start of a scene or something. That's the only possibility I can really think of, though.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's the whole idea of the denial. And then it's like, did he really? Did he not really? All that. No, he pulled the trigger, man. I mean, I'm sorry, he pulled the trigger. And Rondell asked, if he's innocent, then why would he get tried? Right. Well, lawfully speaking. Right. There's moral and then there's the law. Right. There's the human condition and then there's the law. Right. When you look at something like we were looking at the Kyle. I forgot his name. Carthan. Forgot. The Chris Reed situation where the two men were fighting on the front porch of this guy Kyle's house. He comes out with his rifle, shoots him dead on the ground, right? Well, there's the law and then there's moral, right? Morally speaking, Kyle's a piece of trash, but the law will protect him because he still has that castle doctrine where he can literally brandish a gun, tell somebody to get off his property, because in the law, in the eyes of the law, he is that person that was there was quote unquote an assailant, right? I forgot the other word, but a threat, posing as a threat in his eyes, right? So there's the law and then there's morals, right? Morally speaking, he's a piece of trash. Legally, he's going to be protected because he's got laws. Now, when you look at this situation, Alec Baldwin, morally, I don't think he wanted to kill anybody. Morally, I think he is innocent. But in the eyes of the law, he still shot somebody. Will he see something like manslaughter? What kind of level, what kind of degree of charges is he going to get? He will be charged. But as far as morally speaking, just on the human condition of things, I do think that he is innocent. So that's what I mean by that. Okay? In the eyes of the law, he will be charged. And then he will be brought in. And then they're going to sit there, find out if he is guilty or not guilty. Right? Kyle Rittenhouse, perfect example. Morally speaking, I think he was guilty. Right? But in the eyes of the law, they were able to finesse around and get himself some not guilty charges because of all these technicalities. But morally speaking, I do think what that kid did was very, very bad. So that's what I mean. So when it comes to Alec Baldwin, we will see. I do think he's innocent in regards to the moral, the human condition of things. I don't think that he literally knew that there was a bullet in that gun. Hell to the no. I don't think that at all. I think he had the gun, and the AD, the assistant director, said, this gun is cleared. Cold gun. Cool. I believe you, buddy. Now we're blocking. Boom. Oh my God. What? That's what happened. Not, there's a bullet in here, buddy. Oh, there is? Okay, cool. Hey, Helena, come here. Bang. No, not at all. Not at all. So he might think in his mind that he didn't pull the trigger. Right? But we will see. But when it comes to this interview, does this look good for him or not? And that's the question here, because they will use this in court. When he sees the inside of a courtroom, they will be using this. They're going to look at this interview with a fine-tooth comb. They're going to comb through this bad boy and try to find anything as far as the prosecutors. They're going to try to find anything under the sun to try to bury Alec Baldwin when they try him for whatever he ends up getting charged for. Okay.
I don't think he's going to be able to get away with it just because of that even. Because ultimately, even if that's not how they do it on the stage normally, it is still his responsibility to have made sure the weapon was cleared when he got it and that it was not loaded with live ammunition when he received it. Even if that's not how they do it, that is still your responsibility. And he will be charged with those, most likely, because that is a crime to negligently use a firearm without having checked it beforehand. I mean, there's a lot of crimes that could get here. I mean, if this is actually a revolver that somehow keeps cocking and firing itself, like some people are saying, that it just keeps firing itself at random during the show or movie, I mean, it should have been gone within the first day.
Thank you.
I don't know how you would have that there at all in any circumstance. That's ignoring how there's even a bullet there. But ultimately, so there's the armory that has a lot of responsibility there too. For most likely they're the responsible party for getting that live round in there. I'm assuming that it wasn't put there intentionally, because it doesn't seem like that would be the case here. But still, it's his responsibility. He's the one that had it. He's the one that pointed it at a person, especially when it wasn't necessary to do so. It's apparently not even part of the scene, so that it's not part of the scene that he's supposed to aim at the camera, even though that's what he would have had to been doing, to be aiming directly at the DP since she was at the camera. And he didn't check it beforehand. He didn't make sure it was safe. He's playing with it between, even if he's using it between sets and not playing with it, he didn't have the safety on. He didn't check that. I mean, these are still things you're supposed to be responsible for, even if you think you're just playing with a toy, because it still can kill people. Obviously, it did. And so the only person that can ultimately be responsible for what's in your hand is you, because you're the only one that's there that can look at it and make sure that it's safe at that instant before you do anything with it. And he did not do that. Sure, like the armory is supposed to do their job and they didn't, but it's his responsibility to make sure that he's using it correctly, because other people will mess up, as they did, and you will have a live round in there, as he did, and you might accidentally fire it, as he did, if you don't check it before every instance and make sure that it's safe. There's just standard kind of protocol in dealing with firearms.
Absolutely. Standard protocol that goes in when it comes to dealing with firearms. And the thing is that it all goes down to who they ended up hiring to be the armorer as well. And that person has as much responsibility and as much blame as Alec Baldwin. They were negligent when it came to handling the weapons. If they knew of anything, they should have done what they needed to do before they handed that gun to Alec Baldwin. But at the same time, Alec Baldwin is the one that did pull the trigger. And he is the face. And he is also a producer of this movie as well. So he hired this chick. He hired this woman to do this job. And she had no experience whatsoever. Like I said, there are so many pieces to this story that make you go, well, you shouldn't have cut corners. All of it comes down to them trying to cut corners, trying to save some money, and now somebody has died and another person has been severely injured. But like I said, that interview pops off tonight at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. I will be watching it tonight, and hopefully maybe I'll hop on right afterwards to do kind of like a discussion about the interview, because I will be watching it, because that's going to be a mind-blowing interview. The fact that he is saying that he didn't pull the trigger is unbelievable to me. But like I said before, never underestimate the power of denial, for sure. Okay, so we got one last story for you guys. And this one, I have to say, viewer discretion is advised. This is we're going to do this one quickly because we don't have a whole lot of time. We have gone over our time, obviously, but I wanted to get this one in because this is very... This one sucks, okay? And I'm still kind of wrapping my mind around this one because this is still just heartbreaking. Arizona cop fatally shoots a man in a wheelchair 9 mother-loving times in the back. And we got the footage to show you guys. Yeah. We haven't done a police cam, body cam footage video or anything of that sort in a minute, and I've been very happy about that. I'm not gonna lie. It's been nice not having this kind of conversations all the time. Like, there was a good minute where the show was nothing but police brutality videos. I'm being straight funky on you. Just saying. So the fact that we are saying this means this is some serious ish. Okay. So we got to talk about this. This is a man in a wheelchair. And when you see the footage, I mean, I watched it and I could not watch. But I still watched it. It just angered me beyond, more than you even know. And I keep thinking, you step away from it and then you realize it's still here. This kind of stuff still happens. And when you watch this video, you are not going to believe it. Okay? So what the cop does, that's the most unbelievable thing. So I'm going to go into this article, but when we get to the video, viewer discretion is advised, okay? Harrowing footage caught the moment of off-duty Arizona cop working as a Walmart security guard shot a 61-year-old man in a wheelchair, an electric wheelchair, by the way, 9 times in the back, killing him after the disabled man allegedly shoplifted. Let me just say this again. He was a 61-year-old man in a wheelchair. He was shot 9 times in the back. Obviously, this kills him. After this disabled man allegedly went shoplifting. The officer, Ryan Remington, was on assignment at the Walmart in Tuscan on Monday when an employee alerted him about 6 p.m. that a customer in a motorized wheelchair had swiped a toolbox. The employee caught up with the suspect, identified later as Richard Lee Richards, and asked him to show a receipt in the parking lot. Now, this is what they're saying. The police chief is saying right now. So instead of proving the receipt, Mr. Richard brandished a knife and said, "Here's your receipt." This is according to Police Chief Magnus. The chief said Remington, a 4-year member of the Tuscan police force, also followed Richards while attempting to gain his cooperation and to surrender the blade. Mr. Richard refused to comply and instead continued to head through the Walmart and Lowe's parking lots, Magnus said. According to the Walmart employee, Mr. Richards said, "If you want me to put down the knife, you're going to have to shoot me." A second officer then joined Remington at the scene, where they warned the suspect not to enter the Lowe's, but he began but again, he reportedly ignored the commands. The graphic video shows Richard began to enter the store as Remington tells him, "Do not go into the store, sir." He then opens fire at the suspect, who slumps over and crumples to the ground after being hit 9 times. Remington is then seen cuffing the man who is not moving, instead of obviously doing what he needs to do, like check on him to make sure he's still breathing, do whatever he needs to do to make sure he can resuscitate this man back to the living. To be clear, I am deeply disturbed by Officer Remington's actions. His use of deadly force in this incident is a clear violation of department policy and directly contradicts multiple aspects of our use of force training, Mangus said in a press briefing on Tuesday. As a result, the department moved earlier today to terminate Officer Remington, adding that the shooting will be reviewed by the attorney's office. Magnus said medical personnel were called to the scene, but a short time later, Mr. Richards was declared dead. So, this Remington, Officer Remington, or ex-Officer Remington, is no longer a cop, at least for right now. Of course, this whole thing is under investigation. But when you see the video, you'll see for yourself, like as you see in this photo right now, this man, Remington, didn't even bother to go over and do the proper procedures of CPR or checking his vitals or anything of that sort. He didn't do anything except start to cuff this old man. This is a knife we're talking about. Dude had a knife. He was in an electric wheelchair. What do you think that this man's going to do to you with his knife? Not a damn thing. This is a disabled man in an electric wheelchair. Again, I repeat, what do you think that this man's going to do to you, Officer Remington? Let me say it. Not a damn thing. He's not going to do anything. He brought a knife to a gunfight. What do you think he's going to do? And he's not an able-bodied person in a wheelchair. What in the hell do you think he's going to do to you? Okay. There was another statement. The actions of the officer involved in last night's deadly shooting are unconscionable and indefensible. The county attorney office has my full support as they proceed in their investigation. It's moments like this that test our resolve to ensure justice and accountability. We owe this to all Tuscanans. I ask our community to remain calm and be patient as investigations ensue. Okay, so I got to show you guys the video. Like I said, viewer discretion is advised. This is the other officer that shows up. Okay, Tuscan police officer Stephanie Taylor. This is her body cam footage. You will see it for yourself. This is insane. Absolutely insane. Viewer discretion is advised. Oh. That's strange. Hold on.
Try refreshing it.
That's so strange. Yeah, I'll try refreshing it. Hold on, guys. Whoops. Let me do this. That's so strange. Y'all are still with me, though, right?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Maybe Twitter went down.
Twitter must have gone down. Oh my gosh. Well, let me pull this up one more time. But that's insane.
I guess I was thinking. I mean, he pretty much the officer pretty much just murdered the guy.
Oh yeah,
I mean, he took a toolbox. I mean, he just took a toolbox. He didn't commit any sort of violent crime, and obviously he threatened the officer, which is going to get him arrested. But I mean, he wasn't attacking anyone. He wasn't really threatening anyone. Someone's in the chat saying he didn't even actually have a knife in his hand, but I haven't seen a close enough image to tell myself. But either way, even if he did have a knife on his person or in his hand, at this point he's just been driving away from them in his little wheelchair. And when they actually shoot him is probably the worst point. It is the worst point. He's just kind of driving down into the store normally.
Let's check it out. We're going to try this one more time. Hopefully it doesn't lose its mind. Can people even see this? Hold on. Okay, let's try this again. Hopefully y'all can see this. Have mercy. It's freezing on me.
I don't know.
That's so weird. This thing does not want us to see it. I'm going to pull it up I'm going to try another avenue. But go ahead, man. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just trying to.
Yeah. I do only have like 4 more minutes, so I'll just get this out real quick. But yeah, so he's already disabled, or half disabled at least. And like I said, he's just kind of driving into the store, but he's like driving down the center lane. He's not going towards anyone. He's not threatening anyone. At the point they decide to shoot him, nothing has changed. He's still just ignoring them and driving about his business in his wheelchair. And she decides that she needs to go all the way to lethal force. She doesn't try knocking him down, just pulling his wheelchair out from behind him. She doesn't try, what do you call them? Stun guns? I just forgot the name of them all of a sudden. She doesn't try to stun him. She decides to shoot him 9 times in the back. That is just a murder. There's not a circumstance. I mean, he wasn't charging anyone with the knife. He wasn't even threatening anyone directly. He just seemed like he was going about his shopping, and they had been talking to him as well, and they seem to have known this. But they just murdered him. They shot him in the back 9 times. He wasn't charging anyone. Doesn't seem like they tried any other methods of stopping him. If he didn't even have a knife, like they said, or he. Sorry, I meant he when I said the officer. But he didn't. He just shot the guy in the back. He didn't try anything that you're supposed to try beforehand. I mean, there wasn't even a circumstance requiring lethal force. There was, like I said, no threat of violence other than initially, and he had driven away from that point. That was a while ago, before the second officer even showed up. And he didn't like directly threaten him. He just said, you could call it threatening, but he didn't say he was going to go out there and kill that guy. He just said, if you want my coupon, you take this or whatever. It's still an implied threat, but he's not saying that he's going to go use it on anyone right now. And they already followed him going into several different places. So this is just, she randomly decided she got tired of following him around and shot him in the back instead of trying anything else that they had plenty of time to try. I mean, he's on a wheelchair. You can just knock him over. I mean, it's mean, but it's better than shooting somebody. Just knock him over. He's in a wheelchair. His legs don't work. And even if he has a knife, he's not going to be able to get near you. His legs don't work. And I mean, somebody in a wheelchair with a knife can be dangerous. That's true. But he's not threatening anyone. That's the thing. He's just going into the store. I mean, at worst, they have him guilty of committing shoplifting. And it's probably just a misdemeanor. If all he took is a toolbox, it's not even a serious crime. It's still a crime, I guess, but it's not like a serious crime to take a low value item like a toolbox that requires lethal force, especially with no degree of escalation. They went from talking to shooting him in the back instantly. That was the escalation. He didn't really change anything. His actions were the same since they started following him. His actions didn't change. Just her decision to shoot him, or the officer's decision to shoot him, changed for some reason. But there doesn't seem to be anything to instigate that change.
Yeah, I don't understand why Unfortunately, I don't know why I can't pull up this video. But what is terrible about this is that, I mean, like I said, this is a man that had a gun, had a knife. We don't even know what kind of knife it was. We don't know what you know what I mean? But the way that this guy shot into this man's body, right? It wasn't like it was like bang, bang. You know what I mean? Or bang. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm trying to show it to you guys, but I can't show it for some weird reason. But in the video itself, you see this guy, this just straight up shooting this old man in a wheelchair who has, like, why? Why is this happening? Why is this man being shot and killed when he, like I said, showed up to had a knife, who is not even an able-bodied person? So what kind of damage is this guy going to do? Then I understand that there was another piece where they said something along the lines of the reason why former Officer Remington pulled out a gun is because he said it was more accessible to pull out the gun than it was to pull out the taser. That was his explanation to this whole thing. That was his reasoning for putting 9 bullets into this old man who may have had a mental illness issue. It could have been anything, right? But this is a disabled man in a wheelchair holding a knife. And then Sandy, the sassy queen, is saying that that he didn't have a gun, that he didn't have a knife. He had his phone and a pack of cigarettes in his hands. Now, if that's true, that's mind-blowing too.
I couldn't tell in the picture I had. It was too low resolution. I am looking for another one though.
Yeah, I'm trying to see what it is as well. Let me see. Maybe this will let me run it. Nope. It's not letting me run it. I don't know what happened here, guys, but wait, maybe it will. Maybe it'll be nice to me. Okay. This might be nice to me. Hold on. We got the footage. Shout out to Reagan. Thank you so much for the help. I don't know what's going on, but it's just suddenly not wanting to be our friends today. But let's take a look at this. It's a minute long, so viewer discretion is advised. Let's go. Hopefully it doesn't pause on us this time.
Not going to the store, sir.
Stop now. You need to stop.
Bravo 8, shots fired.
Real quick, let me just pull this up. I know you got to get out here soon, David, but let me just pull this up. He's got cell phone. He's got cigarettes. There's some that falls over here off to the side, right in this area. And I think that's the knife.
I don't think you have it on screen.
Say that again.
I don't see it on screen.
You can't see it? Oh, dear Lord. Oh, dear Lord. Come on. Let's try this again. Let's try that again. That's so crazy. Are you seeing anything?
I don't see anything at all. I just see your face. But I do have to go now.
I don't know why it's tripping, but it's tripping. Yeah, see? It's not even... Okay.
If you send it to me, I might be able to show my screen real quick.
Sure. 1 second.
Let me see.
I do not know why it is. I just sent it to you. Unbelievable. Anyway, like I said, if it's not something, it's something else, right? Got the internet part figured out, and then all of a sudden, all this other stuff. Shoot.
All right, let me
So
see if this works.
Try it. Let us see.
It's got to pick. 1 second. Do you see it?
I don't see anything.
I told it to share, but it won't do it.
Yeah, I don't know why it's tripping. Anyway, it's fine. We can still talk about it, which we are. And I'll probably just do this as a pop-up video here in a little bit, and talk about it in more length, and then show the video, because I don't understand why this is acting a fool now suddenly. Everything seemed to be going just fine, and then it just went to ish. But the feed isn't sticky, so that's good. But I can't seem to share any videos or photos or any articles or anything like that. So anyway, this part just doesn't make any sense to me. It's very, very strange. It's a jacked up story. And this cop most definitely should be fired, but or most definitely should be terminated from his job, but he also should be tried without a shadow of a doubt. Okay? He should be tried without a shadow of a doubt, because this man used extreme excessive force, and he didn't even need to use that kind of force on this old man at all. It was pointless. He could have detained this guy with ease. This is an old man that could barely walk. He was in an electric wheelchair, for crying out loud. Should this man be shot 9 times? I think not. But anyway, guys, I want to say a big thank you to everybody. That's the show today. Thank you all for being on today, being a part of the conversation and chopping it up with us. I really do appreciate it. David, thank you so much for being on. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, it was a good show, man.
Yeah, man. Always a good show. Always a good time. And it's always a good time having all you guys on here as well. Before we get going, don't forget to hit that like button down below. Most definitely don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It'd be great to have you a part of the Pascal Show. We're marching towards 50,000 subscribers, so don't forget to do that for me. That'd be really, really appreciated. Anyway, it is time to get going. And like I said, I'll be watching that Alec Baldwin interview. And then after that, maybe I'll be doing a reaction discussion about it after it tomorrow. So be sure to tune in. Be sure to tune in and be a part of the conversation. Okay? But anyway, I got to get going. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. And I'll see you guys very, very soon. Have a blessed rest of your day, guys. This is the Pascal Show. Bye.
You're going to perform tonight. I can't make this interview boring because this man is too exciting as a host. And I'm truly saying this, and if y'all can't do this, me and